Hello, Syngap.Fund. My name is Mike Relia, and this is episode 107 of Syngap.10, your 10-minute weekly briefing on everything you need to know about Syngap.Fund. Last episode was about 8 days ago. I told you I was moving. I'm still moving. This never ends. You can see behind me, there's no vestiboard. Stuff is in more disarray than usual. It's full on. But yeah, stuff's in disarray. John is also crashing the podcast. Say hi, John. That was John saying hi. So, I'm recording this because I'm about to put my whole life in boxes, and the boxes are going to go in a truck today, and I just need to get a few things out because there's a lot going on. So let me start at the top, and we'll move as fast as possible. Let me start with congratulations to the MDBR team, Peter, Callie, Sydney, their friends, Aaron Harding, of course, the captain, the OG of the MDBR. They did a great job raising funds. You can still donate to support their work. Check out the blog. First link in the show notes. We're trying to get to $30,000. UPenn will match it. So thank you, MDBR team. Great work raising money. Great job building community. Also, I mentioned last week in episode 106, the paddle slap. We now have a video on a blog about that. Watch that video. They had a really good time. Most exciting thing that's happened since the last podcast for me was the Schaefer family put out a video about their daughter's story to raise money for SRF. It was an incredibly moving video. They nailed it on keeping it real about how hard this disease is, but talking about the progress and the hope. They nailed it about how this disease creeps up on you and how it just never lets up. And yet they have remained faithful and really devoted to supporting their daughter. It's just a beautiful video. I urge you to watch it. And also they're doing this to raise money for SRF, always a good idea. Give them a donation. Acknowledge the incredible work they did on that video and they continue to do for their daughter. We have 2 more blogs up about SRF in Mexico and Poland. Go ahead and check that out. Let me talk about studies. There are 4 studies I want to flag for you. There's 4 studies I want to flag for you. Number 1, the study at CHOP. If you're on the Eastern Seaboard, or the East Coast generally, please get yourself to CHOP. Please enroll in that study. We have a blog about that now that we just put out by Sydney. Very well written. Please check that out. And also episode 105, I talk about it a lot. There's also the study coming out of CORNELL in English and Spanish. So that's a 5-minute study we're asking you to complete to help our patient, to help one of our medical students learn about Syngap.One. John is breaking out the cappy cap. He loves this cap. And then the COMBINEDBrain Biorepository. We need biosamples. We need plasma. They are collecting in Westminster, Colorado, at a conference for SCX-BP1, and in Florida at Ponte Beach in July. If you're anywhere near Westminster, Colorado, or Ponte Beach in Florida, please, you are welcome to go to those conferences just to show up and be like, hey, I want to give a sample, and they will collect blood and urine. Let us know so we can pre-register you. You don't have to go to the conference, just have to show up, and there'll be a phlebotomist there who's trained in doing exactly what needs to be done, and you can give a sample. Please do that. Most exciting thing is there's a study out called Cinemas. Cinemas is being run by Jazz Pharmaceuticals. Jazz is the company who makes Epidiolex. Many of us are on Epidiolex. Many of us are trying to get Epidiolex and can't. And the Cinemas study, the EMAS, stands for epilepsy with myoclonic atonic seizures. Myoclonic, you're all like, wait, myoclonic, what is that? That's the eye rolls. That's the eye activity that our kids have. So I saw this and I called them and I was like, guys, you really need to be looking at Syngap if you're looking at epilepsy with myoclonic atonic seizures. And we talked about that. And they said, yeah, but really it's focusing on Dusa syndrome, and that starts with mild intellectual impairment, and then with seizures it gets worse. And as we've studied Syngap, we've seen that your kids start with pretty severe impairment, so that might not work for the study. And I said, that's a bummer. I said, but I will tell you that some of our patients have a milder phenotype on the intellectual side, right? And I'm thinking about the C33-DELs. I'm thinking about a couple of other subtypes. Generally, some of our mutations that are either intronic or in the early exons, if you're tracking. If you're not tracking, call me. We can talk about it. So I just want to flag for all of our families who have a mild intellectual impairment before seizures and have a kid, the study is only up to 18, I think. Please check out this link in the show notes for the Cinema study. We are in touch with the team. We can connect you to the various study sites. The study sites recruit directly. Check out that link. It could be a way to get Epidiolex to more of our kids. The study design is it's placebo-controlled for the first few weeks. I don't want to say 6 or 12, but then it goes open label for a year. So if you have a mild, and that's going to be the bummer, right? For most of us, we start with pretty moderate to severe intellectual impairment. But for those of us starting with mild intellectual impairment, and if you can get into this study, your child will be on placebo for a few weeks, and then they would go to a year of open label. That's a really big deal. So check that out, and if you want to learn about that study or talk to us, call me or Lauren. We are working on it. We got another article about the fly work with Chow. Every article is good news, raises the profile of the scientist, raises the profile of the work. Good job, team. And then let me just remind you about events. June 21st, Splash for Syngap. Check it out. Be online, videos of your kids splashing. August 26th, Soiree in Atlanta. October 7th, Scramble in the Carolinas. October 21st, the OG Gala in Jersey. Looking forward to that one. October 30th to 31st, West Coast. Day in Disneyland. Epilepsy Day at Disneyland. It's going to be awesome. So if you're anywhere near Disneyland and you haven't done Epilepsy Day, come and hang out. I will be there for sure. Pretty sure I'm talking about it. And then November 30th, December 1st, the conference. Pre-register, book your hotel. I always say that. But also, today's the last day to get the first batch of t-shirts. So why wait till the conference to get a conference t-shirt? Buy it now, start wearing it, represent SRF. Also, webinars. Today is Wednesday, tomorrow is Thursday. Tomorrow we have a webinar with Michael Courtney from Finland talking about quantifying perturbed Syngap.Fund function caused by coding mutations. In English, what that means is, my phone's going off, my cuckoo clock's going off. In English, what that means is he's going to update us on the work he's been doing on missense mutations. Michael Courtney is an excellent researcher, and I urge you to attend that webinar. It is tomorrow, June 15th. Links in the show notes. Just go to our webinar page. Also, last week we had a great webinar, a more general one talking about genetic mutations and autism worth watching. I want to end strong by acknowledging Ashley Fry. She keeps cranking out these amazing podcasts. She interviewed Danny Williams. Danny Williams is, again, kind of like Aaron Harding, one of the original gangsters of Syngap research. She has 2 affected children. She is the leader of Syngap Research Fund Australia. And really just an exceptional global leader in the Syngap community. We have tremendous respect for Danny. And that's a great podcast. So I urge you to listen to that. Big takeaways from this podcast, which oddly is short because I am in a hurry because I need to now pack up my computer and get ready to move. If your child has mild intellectual impairment, check out that cinema study. And I would be remiss not to say the cinema study is recruiting in the USA, in the UK, in Australia, anche in Italia, also in Italy. So 4 countries, guys. Spread the word. This is an important study for any patient who has a mild intellectual impairment. Links in the show notes. And if you're anywhere near Westminster or Florida, think biosamples. And if you haven't watched the Schaefer video, check it out. And if you haven't donated to SRF lately, share either the MDBR link or the Schaefer video link. Let's support these families who are spending their time to recruit, to raise funds for SRF. And I want to thank John for joining this meeting and Cappy for joining this recording. Wonderful to have you here, John. Anything you want to say? No. All right. Thanks for listening, guys. What did you say? Shortest Syngap 10 ever, for the record. Bye-bye.